Yeah, g'day. Stephen Kerry from off-the-grid.com again. Got a mild to fucking severe fire. Oh, I said it, sorry. Mild to this. That's actually nearly touching the roof. Yeah, pretty wicked fire going. Wednesday night. This video is about off the grid and compliance. The reason I'm making this vid, it's like 7:30 at night. Pretty bloody cold. Yeah, we're outside with the stew tube playing a bit of Credence. But the reason I'm making this video is because basically Kerry went to work this morning for a freebie, which is work for the community, and got pulled up by the cops, our police. What happened was they basically checked her license and realised that unfortunately Kerry seems to follow my lead, and we don't particularly believe in the political system that we live within, and she hadn't complied to a voting demand, or you know, what do you call it, you know, you failed to vote. The police actually decided to threaten her with removing her license and her right to drive on the road because of her lack of payment of a fine to do with voting. And that's where this compliance thing sort of starts with this video, and I will go with more, but I'm going to let Kerry explain what happened in a very short version, and she's not really what was that?
Short version.
Yeah, the short version. Come on, what happened?
Okay, I was driving to work and they had a breathalyzer station set up, and they had a sheriff with the breathalyzer station, and there was a lot of cars, police cars, a lot of policemen running around doing both sides of the road, checking every single car. So I pulled up for the breathalyzer and he did that, and the sheriff came over and said, I need to check your license. And I said, why?
That was the sheriff came over.
The sheriff.
Yeah.
And I said, why? And the policeman that was doing the breathalyzer said, if you don't produce your license, if you don't want to produce your license, then you need to hand it in and don't drive on Victorian roads.
Way to go.
Oh. So, and I hadn't done anything wrong, but I thought, oh, you know, I'm already late for work. So I got my license out and gave it to him, thinking it would only take a second. Then he came back and he goes, oh, you've got an outstanding warrant. I said, no I don't, what's that for? And he said, failure to vote in 2014. I said, well, I haven't received any letters about that.
For what? 2014?
14, yes. And he said, well, that's it. And then he said, he went away and he came back and he goes, that's a $240 fine. I said, what are you talking about? What? Anyway, he said, well, you have to pay that. And I said, well, I haven't got $240 on me. I said, I've got $20 in my purse. And he said, well, you can't have your license back until you've paid this $240. So basically, with the intimidation of the guns that they're all carrying and the dead looks in their faces and the...
What was that? Dead looks in their eyes.
God,
yeah.
their eyes. Seriously.
Yeah.
I feel like a criminal that had done something majorly wrong.
The bottom line was you were pulled up by the authorities and intimidated because of a non-related police a non-related police offence.
Non-criminal police offence.
And actually threatened on the roadside.
Absolutely. And I wasn't allowed to leave there.
Kerry Ann, I'm not going to put you on the spot for much longer, but were you happy with that? Do you think the system really is a good thing?
No.
No.
I couldn't believe it. That seriously, since then, you know, I should have thought to say, well, give me a payment plan or something, because I just didn't want to pay it like that. It just annoyed me. But I didn't. I paid it with my card because they had a machine there to take the card.
But Kerry, as yeah, I'm going to pull you up right there. But as I explained earlier to you when you came home, when you pay the fine, you aren't so much compliant, but you actually still got not to vote.
That's exactly right. In the end, you, like you said, and I agree with you now that you've, you know, hyped me up and calmed me down at the same time. I won because I didn't end up voting because I didn't want to vote.
That's right.
Okay, I paid some
So what did the system get out of you? Numbers?
numbers. Nothing else but
They
numbers.
took some numbers out of what? A bank account or some other thing?
Big deal.
That's right.
Big deal. I didn't end up doing what they wanted me to do, and I won't do it next time. I'm not voting if I don't want to vote.
That's right.
But where the hell did I get off saying they're going to keep my license and I can't drive because I didn't vote?
But the system basically turned around to you and said, hand me over some numbers
Yeah,
because you didn't choose to vote for somebody you didn't believe in.
exactly.
Yeah,
What the
yeah.
hell?
And what are you? A
I'm a winner now.
Kerry is the winner.
Yeah.
The system did not win. The system may have extracted some numbers out of her.
I may be a bit cranky because in your face.
A
the system in
60-year-old
your
grandma. I tell you, you don't want to run into a 60-year-old cranky grandma.
face- Well, with the system in your face like that, it just again brings it home to you how pathetic it all is.
Pathetic.
Yes,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
disgusting.
All right. I'm going to leave you alone at that, babe.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thank Kerry for this little bit of participation because I have to focus back on this because the roof's about to catch fire. Got Credence playing. This video is about compliance. Compliance is not so much a thing of numerical value. Too many people today, especially off-gridders who tend to be a little bit non-compliant, and alright, you got 10 kilowatt and you got 300 grand in the bank, turn it off, you know the drill. But generally off-gridders tend to have to break a few rules to do what they're going to do. And that non-compliance brings you into line with these things that the corporation runs. The corporation runs the police. The corporation runs the sheriffs. Unfortunately today in 2017, they're all connected. So what happens is, when you actually defy the system, in even the most minor way, you can't think of a politician you want to vote for and you don't choose to vote informally, you unfortunately as a 60-year-old grandma get pulled up on the side of the road and threaten to have your license taken off you. That's our system. Do we love it? Do you people out there who are totally compliant, do you think that's right? Do you think that's a system that you really want to aspire to or comply with? Okay, I'm calling everyone to take up arms. I'm not. The thought does come to mind. There's a bit of credence. Do we want to take up arms?
Oh, no.
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 No, we don't want to take up arms. We probably need a fire.
We're pretty passive.
We need a fire extinguisher, but not arms. But yeah, the bottom line is that whether it be your building permit, your license, a fine you may have, the system these days is connected intrinsically to everything. So you can't even drive your car and have balked the system at some point somewhere where the courts and the sheriffs have got involved without the police now. The police now have become not so much the defenders of justice, but the perpetrators of debt collection. That's what our police are. Now, look, I know a few coppers, alright? I don't give a shit what they say. I seriously don't give a shit what they say. The police basically are running around doing the bidding of the corporation. They pick up grandmas like my wife and they hold them at bay, at gunpoint basically, on threat of walking, car confiscation. They are just armed debt collectors of the corporation. Do not be confused. And this is where the second part of this video comes in. When it comes to compliance, it's a state of morals, alright? Moral value. You may not want to pay the $50 fine for your dog taking a crap in the park. You may not want to pay the fine for the parking ticket. But what happens is, if you choose to take a moral stand and not pay that fine, what they do is they don't. It's not like they go, oh, well, we need to lock you up straight away. What they do is they impose yet another penalty on you. I got a spell on you. Oh, you gotta love credence, eh? At least the fire's calmed down, thank God. But yeah, this system, I believe most people should stop and take a hard look at it, and look at it from a moral standpoint. Meaning that if you don't want to pay a parking fine, you should have some solid ground to stand on within yourself, and I mean deep in your heart, that causes you to hold that moral ground. The worst this system will do to you, more than likely, is add another number to the bottom of the piece of paper they inflict on you. As I said to Kerry, it took me an hour or two to calm her down. Kerry won. Now, she didn't win because they got the 200 bucks off her. But she won because she held her moral ground. And this is what more people need to do. If people hold their moral ground, I mean morally, if you look at other topics, if you have solid moral ground to stand on, you won't shift. But because these bastards, these freaking corporate driven, corporate owned, corporate controlled bastards, they hang a number in front of you. That's what they're doing. Do you understand that? They hang a freaking number in front of you. It'll be in the form of a fine or a demand or a threat. You don't think we live in a communist state. If you don't think we live in some sort of a totalitarian mongrel state that is driven by one entity. In the old days, the totalitarians used to be like, Genghis Khan and Stalin and but what we have today is a corporate state that is totalitarian as an entity. It's an entity that controls everything. It is a business. A business. We put our police on the street with guns and vests and fancy cars and intimidating shit that causes grandmas at 60 years of age to comply. And they will stand there and they will threaten you. Is that right? From a moral point of view, seriously, is that right? Or should more people take a moral stand? And I know they'll go, oh, it's easy for you, Steve, you can pay the fines. Well, if you pay the fines and you don't arc up, if you pay the fines immediately, Kerry could have got away with a $20 fine for not voting, but she had a moral stand there. We don't follow politics. We would have to vote informally. So this law, as far as that's concerned, is absolutely fucking ridiculous. Oh, I said it again as apologies.
Oh, it's alright, you're allowed to say it.
Am I allowed to say that?
Yes, you are.
With this one?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
only because you shelled out 200 bucks today.
I know.
But yeah, look, seriously, Kerry could have paid 20 bucks months ago and got this off her bat. But from a moral point of view, if you're one of these people who fixate on the money, which is a number on a piece of paper, if you have respect for money to that degree, well, fine. You become one of the compliant who caused this system to just keep rolling on. Now, this could probably, well, okay, this could get me locked up, but I mean, I haven't voted for, I don't know, 12 years or something ridiculous, alright? I haven't been chased down at gunpoint yet, and I do a lot of stuff that harms nobody. But what it does do is steps outside the corporate rule. The corporate rule, the corporation that runs things like the police, the sheriff's department, the courts, all these things, I do tend to step sideways from those things. And I'm not advocating you do it unless you have some very solid internal mechanisms happening that causes you to hold on to moral ground that makes you stop and not comply because of the 200 bucks. The 200 bucks is nothing, alright? And I don't mean that lightly. Obviously in this system, 200 bucks is a lot of money. But morally, I would rather give the system the 200 bucks and stand there and go, and here's the word, guys, here's the word. I would rather stand there and give the system the 200 bucks and stand back and go, oh, an ad. Kerry's going to skip it. Just before I got to the crucial word.
Due to a cognitive.
What's this one? John Fogarty again. Yes, we're watching YouTube. Yeah, but I would rather stand there and take this very, very, very seriously. I've paid many fines, thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fines, and most people, and this is the thing that makes me realise that I'm okay, and that may fracture you as well. I've paid thousands and thousands of dollars worth of fines because I choose not to comply. Now that's not a good thing financially if your life is focused on the number at the bottom of a piece of paper. I assume you've gone off grid because you are worried about the numbers on the bottoms of pieces of paper. That's why you've gone off grid. Save power, sustainability, live a better lifestyle at less cost, less reliance on the system, all the drill. So if you hold that thinking a little bit broader and go with, well, the system turns around and uses our own police force. These are people who are meant to be supporting us and protecting us. They are using them to collect fines for failing to vote. Do you understand that? This system has got that corrupt that our police now are not only and always have been a corporate organisation, but they are functioning in conjunction with all of the other bits of the corporation that extract money. They extract numbers out of our butt. Now if you want to comply, you can give them their numbers, alright? And that's the point of this video, to do with compliance. Don't care whether it's permits, a fine on the side of the road, whatever. You can comply with some things. You can stand your ground. If you have any moral fortitude, any guts, anything, you may want to choose to stand your ground. I would rather pay, as I tried to say before the ad came on, I would rather pay the $200 and stand there and go, and here's the word, I'd rather stand there and pay that $200 and go, fuck you, I won. You got a number at the bottom of a piece of paper, but I stood my moral ground. You pricks may want to try and control me and manipulate me and threaten me with your fancy fucking clothes, I said it again, and your jackets and your pieces of paper. And you may want to threaten to do all manner of things to me, but I would rather pay that number at the bottom of a piece of paper. If you're not really wealthy, you can pay it off at $10 a week, $1 a week. But if you hold your moral ground, you win. The system loses. If everybody on the planet refused and stood back, they may rethink what they're doing. But unfortunately, as Kerry said, she buckled under the pressure and paid on the spot. Now Kerry is in a learning process as far as this thinking to do with the system. Oh, hang on. Good track. Should turn this up and shut up.
Yeah.
Can you get the remote? Yeah, turn it up a bit. Yeah. But anyway, that's the point of this video. I'm going to cut it off now. Compliance. It's something you have to do quite often. You can take a moral stand on it in regard to a lot of things. I hope you make your small effort as far as the moral stand goes. It's a very deep subject. Too many people just go with, it's the number at the bottom of a piece of paper. And I'll say the word again, fuck that, alright? Life is not about a number at the bottom of a piece of paper. Life isn't about that. Life is to do with morals and standards and thinking and good. And the police and the courts and the corporation are bad. B-A-D, capitals, B-A-D. All those things that they put in place to supposedly control us are not controlling us, they are threatening us. And they are making us comply to things that go against every moral standard that I've ever had a broad thought about or a light thought about in my entire life. It's just plain wrong. It's now pulling grandmas up on the side of the road and threatening to take their license off them if they don't pay something absolutely non-police related. This is nothing short of communism. We may as well have Mao Zedong throwing rules down to the minions in uniform to go and stand over 60-year-old women. 40 years ago, they probably would have just pulled the gun out and said, you're not complying with the state, and put a bullet in your head. Alright, we're short of that at the moment. But I think standing there and actually threatening a 60-year-old grandma over a fine to do with voting for someone that she could not have voted properly for. In other words, she would have had to vote informally because we don't watch TV, so we don't know who's in power or who's doing what. That is totally wrong. That is communist. And you can like that or lump it. I could give a fruit. See, I didn't say the other word. But yeah, it is communist. It's really wrong, guys. Really, really wrong. And that's the point of the video. Compliance. Think about how you comply. Think about where you comply. Some things you have to comply to. I'd rather live in a fucking tent than comply to everything. And that's a thought that doesn't come from 5 years thinking or 10 years thinking. That's a thought that comes from an educated 40-year-old, 40 years worth of thinking. Right? It's not a 5-minute thought. If you're going to comply to everything that this system throws out, well then you may want to rethink what you know about this system. You may want to think when you dot that I or cross that T, or fill that form out, or send that bank card number in. This system is sucking the life out of you. It's standing all over you. And now they're using the freaking police to do it. It's wrong. Totally wrong. And on that note, Kerry Ann.
Bye guys.
Bye guys.
Have a good Wednesday.
It is a good Wednesday, isn't it?
It is, because I actually won because I didn't vote.
That's right. Kerry did win, alright? She might have paid the fine, but she didn't vote.
That's
She
right.
didn't want to vote, and that's a human right,
And
basic
guess what?
human
I
right.
won't vote next time either.
And no, we won't vote next time probably either. Not because we want to defy the system, but because we don't follow politics, so we shouldn't actually have the right to vote. So
No
that's
way, it shouldn't be compulsory.
That's right. It should not be compulsory, and it certainly should not be backed up by the police force. The police are meant to be here to support us. They're meant to be here to protect us. Yeah, well, I might argue that point these days. And on that note, with John Fogarty still playing, cheers from Stephen Kerry and from offthegridnoise.com. Hope it was a good one. Hope it was positive. Keep thinking in the right direction. Think closely and deeply about the compliance and where you are with compliance. Everyone is in a different place with compliance. You get a big checkbook? Fine. Those people, they cross the T's and they dot the I's and they pay the numbers. Not everyone can do that. Maybe a few more people should buckle and give in to their moral values rather than buckle to the numbers at the bottom of a piece of fucking paper. Cheers guys. Subscribe and like if you want. Could give a shit one way or the other. We'll catch you on the next one, eh? Bye.